Hey, Treasure Fan Joe Pal, BD back here again with another weekly news announcement. And this is for, well, this is actually for 3 weeks. So this is going to be for last week, the 23rd of March, the 30th, which is this week of March, and then next week, which is the 6th of April. Already in April. Matter of fact, I'm filming this today. It's April 1st. It's not a fool. It's not a joke. We're filming. But, yeah, a lot of stuff going on recently, hasn't it? So, those of you new to my channel, I try to do this every week, although I've been failing lately, and I do apologize for that. But I talk about what's coming out new on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K this week and next week, and then I talk about any announcements that may have come out. So let's get started with last week. So last week there was a few movies that came out, and I actually picked up a couple of them. So the Shout Factory put out Event Horizon, which I did get. There was also, let's see, Gattaca, Godzilla, both came out on 4K. They also came out with the 4K Steelbooks. I did not get the Steelbook for Godzilla, but I did pick up Godzilla 4K because I heard they fixed the coloring issue that was on the Blu-ray. There was a really bad coloring issue on the Blu-ray that was very distracting. So apparently they fixed it now, and they fixed it on both the 4K and the Blu-ray. So I figured, hey, I'd much rather have a corrected version, so I grabbed that. Got it for a good deal, too. I got a part of that Target. Target was doing that buy two, get one free last week, so I picked up, what did I pick up? I picked up Waterworld, because they got, all of a sudden, Target's got Best Buy Steelbook, 4K Steelbooks. I walked in and they had the Waterworld, Jaws, and a couple other ones. I was like, what is going on here? So I actually picked up the Waterworld because that was one I missed. My Best Buy didn't get it. So I picked up the Waterworld 4K Steelbook, and I was like, well, I'm here. And I noticed that they had Godzilla and they had Beetlejuice. And I wanted to get Beetlejuice in 4K, and they were both on sale too. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So I got those, but those two came out. Gattaca is a good movie. I just don't need to get it in 4K. I have a really nice Blu-ray edition of it. Good to go. Let's see here. Also, News of the World came out last week on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K. We had Friday the 13th Part 2 Steelbook, which I did get. I finally got that yesterday, which is really neat. I know I got the Shout Factory set, but it's Friday the 13th, and it's a Steelbook. I do the same thing with Halloween, too. If they come out, I'll get the thing, too. Also, we had the Undoing miniseries come out, and the last one that came out last week was Soul. I did get Soul. I got the Soul 4K Steelbook. Again, it took Best Buy forever to get it to me because my Best Buy did not get them. Matter of fact, why I'm on this subject before I move on to this week's releases, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Best Buy has trimmed down their movie sections again. I've been in 3 Best Buys in the last couple weeks, and they're all down to like one side of one row now, and then a couple of little fixtures, and that's it. My understanding is they're going to cut it back maybe even more than that. I would predict at this point, Best Buy, other than brand new like releases, yeah, they're going to be out of the movie market by the end of the year. I really truly believe at this point, walking in and just over this last 6 months, seeing how much they've reduced the sections, it's kind of scary, and they're not getting as many exclusives anymore as they used to. So, matter of fact, Wonder Woman 84, which came out this week, was the first Steelbook they've got in a while where they got more than like 2 or 3 copies in a store. So they're kind of just pulling back on a lot of this stuff. It's kind of going on, and like we talked about before, it's all just going to go on to online, unfortunately, and it's just what we have to put up with and what we have to deal with because they're done with it. Target's the same way. You know, Target. You said we watch Target stores slowly shrink more and more and more and more. You know, and then pretty soon we're just not gonna be able to buy it in the store anymore, which bums me out because I love to go. The thrill of going into a store and finding that movie, it's a lot of fun. It can be infectious. Whereas, like, you know, you go online, look on Amazon, and go, there it is, and click and buy, and it's like, all right, done. It just loses something. It's like I watched this video the other day of a guy who, over the pandemic, had a bunch of time off, and he converted his basement into a video store. And I thought that was the neatest thing in the world. Like, he's got a little register on there. He's got all of his movies put out, stuff like that, you know. And I thought, that's really cool. That's what I want to do. But it's going to be harder and harder to do stuff like that when you're not going to be able to go into the stores to get the product anymore, you know. I mean, you're always sure, you'll be able to go to, like, thrift stores and find the used movies. But there's just something about finding that one Shout Factory, Scream Factory movie, that one Arrow special edition release or something like that, you know. It's just, there's just something about that. It's like walking to the old video stores back in the 90s. My wife and I were talking about this the other night, how much fun we used to have. You know, you go down there on a Friday night and walk around in Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or your local video store for an hour trying to pick out a movie. You know, you'd have to read the back of every cover, you know, and you didn't have access to trailers like now. It's like, oh, it's like a trailer on my phone. You didn't have access to that back then. You just had to go with what the description on the back was, and if anybody else has seen it, give you a recommendation. Otherwise, but at the same time, that was the best time where some of my most favorite movies of all time now came because of that, because I took that risk. So it's the same thing with I just like to go out and be able to get the movie. Even my Walmart, the Walmart that I frequent the most, they've drastically reduced their section. Although they finally updated it and they got new releases on there. My Walmart, my area, still had Christmas stuff out, and up until like a week ago, they still had all the Christmas stuff out. They had no new releases, and then I went in there, they finally had up all the stuff that came out the last 4 months. It's like, oh, where's that been the whole time? So it's just kind of what's happening, unfortunately. So why I mention this is because you might want to start looking more online. I think it's just going to be that way. I know there's a lot of YouTubers out there that will do their Tuesday hunts where they go out and they'll go into the stores to look for movies, and I feel bad for them because they keep going to these stores now and they're not finding anything, or they're only finding one of the 3 things that came out that day or something like that. And it's like, it's disappointing, I see the looks in their faces. They're like, man, I really want to get this final ordered online, but it just loses something ordered online. So that's my soapbox. Yeah, anyways. So what came out this week was, obviously I just mentioned Wonder Woman 84, and there was a Blu-ray, a Steelbook, there was a 4K, and there was like a different subcover at Target too, because I got the Target edition, and I got they're both being sent to me. So I ordered the Target and I ordered, because I always try to get both when it comes to the Marvel movies and the Star Trek movies. I will always try to get every version I can. So I mean, not Marvel, but DC movies. So those should be coming to me. Also, 10 Commandments in 4K came out this week, which I really want to get that too. My great uncle Charlton Heston's in that movie. The Bad News Bears came out this week. That is the original with Walter Matthau, not the re-release. We also have Criterion's releasing Defending Your Life, which is a really good movie, really interesting movie. Interesting take on death and having to defend your actions while you're alive. It's a good movie though. And then Shout Factory released this week a double feature called Amazon's The Barbarian Queen. I did order that, and I got it over the weekend, and I watched it. Beautiful. Amazon's has only been available on DVD, and it went out of print really quick. So to get that, because usually people are selling it for $40, $50 just for the DVD. It's really cool to get the Barbarian Queen. I had it on DVD, but it's nice to have the Blu-ray of it. I've been really into this whole sword and sorcery kick lately, and Amazons and barbarians and all that stuff. So it was really cool. It was really cool to see these movies and sit down and I watched both of them. They're like an hour and 10 apiece, but it was fun to watch just the cheesy 80s stuff. Those 80s sword and sorcery was pure magic. It's kind of like how I like the 90s. I'm really into like 80s sword and sorcery, but 90s like post-apocalyptic. I love those kind of movies. So I'm glad to get that. I was really stoked to put that in my collection. And then the last thing that came out this week was Mortal Kombat. It's a Steelbook by Best Buy. It's both 1 and 2 in a Steelbook. There's nothing different about it. It's not like it's 4K or anything else like that. It's the same 2 movies that have already been available. They just put them in a Steelbook. I'm not even sure if there is a digital copies for both of them. The bummer part is I bought both those movies in a 2-pack with digital copies for both of them about a year and a half ago. So it's like, all right. But that does come out. So that is it for this week, which is kind of a weird week. Next week it's a little bit weirder. They're kind of trickling off a little bit. So next week we have Thundar the Barbarian, the complete series on Blu-ray. We have Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar. It looks like a comedy. My wife seems to be interested in it. We have Earwig of the Writers or something. I can't read this thing. Oh my gosh. Earwig movie that's I think it's currently on, I want to say it's on Netflix. And then the last movie that comes out next week on Blu-ray, this is kind of funny because they're releasing a bunch of this stuff. How High comes out on Blu-ray next week, which is funny because they just recently announced like a bunch of other random movies from that era, like Half Baked and stuff like that. So it kind of cracked me up that they're bringing these things out. So that's it for next week. Again, it's kind of slow right now, and it's always slow about this time of the year. You're coming out of Christmas, you're kind of getting close to the summer. The summer blockbusters haven't come out really yet, so it always does slow down. So I'm not really worried about this. And I did see some stuff in the horizon. It's really cool. They're really kind of going and getting some more catalogs. So I'm pretty stoked about that. We will see some more stuff. I think they've already announced Tom and Jerry, which just came on HBO Max. Was it a few weeks ago? And I believe Raya is going to be announced here soon. Or I think I read something about Raya coming out in June, which is the Disney one. And then I just watched last night King Kong versus Godzilla, which, by the way, my favorite movie out of Kong Skull Island and Godzilla King of the Monsters. This last one, that's when I was a kid. One of my favorite movies was King Kong versus Godzilla. So to see that again, but with the special effects they have now, I highly recommend watching it. It was a really good movie. I really, really enjoyed it. Really, Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. Also, if you're looking for another movie, Willys Wonderland with Nicolas Cage, man, that movie is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. Love it. Nicolas Cage says, you know how many words Nicolas Cage says in that movie? That's right. It doesn't say a word, but it's a really good movie. It's like a total. It is kind of a Friday Night at Freddy's feel to it. It's very much like Friday Night at Freddy's. It looks like it's a live action version of that movie. So, get a chance, watch that. I know it comes out on DVD in a couple weeks. I would definitely watch it. So with that all being said, we do have one more thing, some announcements that came out. Something announced. They did announce Speed for 4K and an Ultimate Edition 4K set. I believe there's a Steelbook for it too. That'll be out June 6th. Oh no, May 6th, I think that is. So that's like next month. Rat Race, which is a great comedy. It's another one of those catalog titles. Rowan Atkinson, just great movie. And that comes out the 1st of June. We have the Indiana Jones Complete Series 4K box set coming out the 8th of June, which I can't wait for. That's one of those series that I was waiting for 4K. Back to the Future was one, Indiana Jones was the other one. So now if they just put the Star Trek movies out in 4K, I will personally be happy. They also announced Smokey and the Bandit 4K. Interesting title for 4K. That'll be out June 1st. Kino Lober is releasing Career Opportunities, and that will be out the 22nd of June, which is a great movie. If you've never seen it, it's about this guy who works in it's almost like a Target, and he's like the night crew cleanup guy, and this girl, she ends up hiding and falling asleep, I think it was, in the dressing room, so he's out cleaning the room, goofing around, she pops out, and then these guys try to rob the place, and it's a really good, funny movie. Yeah, I've been a big fan of yours. And then the last one, I just read this, Paramount Presents has announced a new title, which is Mommy Dearest, and that'll be out the 1st of June. If you've never seen Mommy Dearest before, I would definitely check it out. It's an interesting movie. It's a true story, and it's really, really good. It's about Hollywood elite and kind of gives you a different perspective of Hollywood in the 60s. I think it was the 60s. It was from maybe the 60s or 70s, and Joan Crawford and No More Wire Hangers is the big thing there. But it's a really good movie. It's depressing, but at the same time, and it's also shocking, but at the same time, it's a really good story. It's really well acted. So that is it. There's nothing else much coming out. You got the 3 weeks. Leave me some comments down below of anything else you've heard of coming out. I've heard rumors, but I don't want to say anything yet until I get more thing. I do know that Spaceballs is coming out in a couple weeks in 4K, and some people have already gotten their hands on it. I really want to see what that looks like. So leave me some comments down below. Again, thank you guys all so much for watching. Like, subscribe, the bell, you know those whole 9 yards. Again, thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please take care. And as always, live long and prosper. Bye.